You're crazy.
Let's start this podcast. Welcome to the We Are Self-Made podcast. This is not your traditional show on entrepreneurship with quitty quotes about failing fast and often, but an honest look at the good, bad, and ugly. Oh, he's checking already his shoulders to get warm. I like this. It's an experiment documenting the journeys of 7 entrepreneurs over time, me included. Today I speak to John. It's actually his third update, and I'm really excited for him to come back. And thanks for coming back.
It's good to be here, Danny. It's good to be here for a third time. And yeah, excited to talk about the check-in.
Yes. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how happy, content are you right now? 10 the highest.
I think I'm probably at a 7, I would say.
7. Like last month. Okay. You didn't improve. So let's talk about today's. Like today, we talk about your monthly wins. What was going well? Any wins, big or small? We're going to talk about goals that weren't completed yet, where you need to recommit next month. I want to chat about what you have learned about yourself, about your business. You're a freelancer, as we know before, and the outlook of the next month. So, do you have like 3 points, monthly wins you can share with us?
Yeah, so the 3 monthly wins I would like to talk about is I feel like there has been over the last month there has been a few really significant mind shifts in mindset and kind of in approach. One big thing which actually came from your advice and your coaching was I started to structure my days more. So productivity last 2 months ago was very bad. It was focus was all over the place. I was struggling every day to get the tasks done that I needed to get done on a daily basis. Lead generation was non-existent,
Mm-hmm.
and so we started with your advice. I started to implement um, a 90 minute block system. So I do 2 blocks of 90 minutes a day minimum. Um, and if I get this done during the day, technically I can take the day off. So it's like kind of making a rule in your head that this is the minimum amount of work that I need to aim to get done every day. What this did for me was pretty amazing and pretty cool because it kind of changed the game in terms of my stress levels and enabled me to actually relax. I realized very quickly after doing this, implementing this system, is that I was putting myself under a ridiculous amount of pressure every day to work, even like at times really that should be downtime, like having dinner or even eating. I would be stressing out that I'm not working, and it was because I didn't actually define the blocks of time that I should be working in, or have any differentiation between working and play or rest, So I didn't schedule any time to actually take a break and for my brain to relax. So this has been amazing in the productivity sense. It's been a game changer, and it's enabled me to work more focused, work harder during those blocks of time. And also with this, it's been like a psychological shift because I'm actually working more than I was. I'm actually working more than 2 blocks a day, like most days, but it's coming from a different place. It's coming from a place of a little bit more power and not being stressed out all the time and not trying to like grit your teeth and be like, oh, I'm fighting. I've got to fight for the day to get stuff done. I'm kind of more relaxed. I'm more just doing the tasks and I'm more enjoying the work as well. So that's been a massive win for me.
Isn't
Number
it,
two,
so John, sorry to interrupt. Isn't it
yes,
funny that once you set your mind on something to achieve less, you actually, by slowing down, you accelerated progress?
yeah, yeah, it's very counterintuitive, and like if you don't try it, it would be easy to think that, well, but I need to do more work, but it's just yeah, it's taking the worry and the anxiety, and it's ridiculous how you don't realize till you do this. Um, if you're a person who gets stressed out by deadlines and things on a regular basis, and you're always like stressed out with what needs to get done, the amount of energy that you're exerting on that anxiety and on that pressure is quite crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel like my energy's gone up almost, like it's almost doubled
Yeah, and
because
as part of the system, what we said too is like what I follow and you follow now too, and you are actually better at following through with the breaks. That's actually where I need to improve myself, because sometimes I don't stop after 90 minutes. But I see you doing this here in Thailand, in Chiang Mai at Punt Space. You're really taking time off. You do Wim Hof breathing technique, which is really interesting. You taught me this. So the key is scheduling and then following through with it. It sounds ridiculous, easy, but it's really hard. And another
yeah.
key to it, where you agree to it as well, is um, using different colors. So work time has one color, and off time you need to sketch the off time too, and you need to put it in the calendar. And then if you look at your calendar, it's not just one color and it all feels like work. No, have a pleasant color for off time, like yellow. I use yellow, for example. For me, it's sun, because I
Hmm.
love the sun, and off time means I can be outside in the sun. Have you been using the different color approach too?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I use red for like work, and I use orange for breaks.
Okay.
Um, and yes, so
So the second point.
the second point is, I feel like I went through, to be honest with you, over the last 2 months, I've been going through a little bit of transition. I went through a little bit of a breakup with my girlfriend and things. So there's been some lack of focus and some emotional ups and downs over the last uh, month and a half.
Okay.
So and one thing that came out of this kind of was a lack of commitment, and I felt like I wasn't committing to one idea, and I was entertaining a lot. Now, we spoke about this in the last thing a little bit, but I decided, like, I came to Chiang Mai again, and I decided to put some things in place that I didn't do before, that would push me and focus my mind to start really treating my design stuff as a business, and really treat myself, as a businessman, and have a little bit more focused commitment. And what I did was I got an office with a friend, which I paid a little bit more money than maybe I wanted to, but I made the commitment, and I said, look, I'm gonna start treating this like a it's ironic, but like a job, like a real business. Because before, I was kind of I wasn't focused in my strategies, in lead generation and stuff. And I feel like I've committed to one thing, and that's the main thing that I'm committed to get to my goal. And I think that's needed. And that's increased energy, that's increased focus. It's taken a lot of mindless brainstorming, or just entertaining ideas that just are like very wishy-washy ideas that just like drain time more than actually create value.
Yeah.
So that's been the second win.
And before you go to the third win, I want to acknowledge you for doing really well on it, because the other day we both were talking in our break. We took 15 minutes off. Like, I got a coffee, um, and I know right now you have this 30-day challenge, and as part of it, don't drink coffee, but you came just to get your mind off and to have a break. And I challenged you on a few things, and you said, like, Danny, even though I don't get it, please stop, because that's not my focus right now. So even though I was kind of messing up with you stayed strong and focused on saying, maybe this is true, but I'm not even in a position to think about it. The only thing I'm focused on is making my freelancing business work right now. And as part of it, I need to put in an hour every day to create clients. On top of the work I need to do to deliver the promises I made to current existing clients. And I really like this approach where you're now really following through, and this is your second mindset shift based on the productivity and scheduling time thing. What's the third one? I really like where this is going.
So the third one is, which just rounds it off very nice. The third one is it's starting to work. So the third, so the,
Wow, that's a big one. Starting to work. You want to be a
so
freelancer?
so last.
People, John, sorry to interrupt. People must think we're crazy, but thanks, like we are documenting it, and maybe there are other entrepreneurs out there or freelancers, and it sounds so funny. We even laugh about ourselves, but this is so true. We always make stuff up in our mind, and we, as you said, we strategize, we come up with nice, shiny ideas, but we
Yeah.
don't work really.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's about, it's very easy to talk about things, but actually put them into action, and that's been a big thing over the last 2 months, that I've started to take a lot more action and get committed, make decisions and stick to them.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit part of the 30-day challenge I'm doing as well, which maybe we can talk about another time. But it's like, so the last week I made almost $600 in a week, and that's the first week of the month. So for me, momentum is building. I'm getting higher paid clients now. Before on Upwork, I did have my hourly rate as like $37, but I was doing a lot of fixed jobs, so I wasn't looking back at my hours actually spent on the jobs and what I was getting paid. I wasn't really getting paid $37 an hour. Mm-hmm. I was getting paid more like 20 or something, and it was like fixed price jobs. So the last week I had 2 or 3 clients who were paying me for almost $40 an hour. After fees, that comes to about 33 or 34.
Nice.
But it was a good week last week.
So this is an interesting realization I want to talk about. We just laughed about it. Start working, put things into actions, which is one thing. But then you want to gain momentum too, right? You want to have higher rates. You want to stop having fixed work into more hourly work with better clients, more enjoyable clients for companies you like to work with. And I remember our first check-in, we took quite some time to discuss niching down, industry-wise and skill-wise. Can you share a few things about what you might have done over the last 2 or 3 months when it comes to niching down skills and market industry-wise?
Yeah, so I did niche down. So I took my Upwork account and I looked at it and I said, okay, what have I done and what have I done well? And also, more importantly, what do I enjoy doing? Because I wanted to do something that I enjoyed doing, and 2, it complemented my skills and the way that I work as well. Because there's, especially in design and in any creative field or industry, there's a lot of different aspects to these industries, and some people love doing logos, some people love doing copywriting and doing more kind of contextual design, like around text and things like layout. But I've always been a very visual designer, and all the stuff that I've done that I've enjoyed is like taking big projects, looking at like the visual styles and kind of artworking something to be in like a congruent style. So it's always been an aim for me I feel that branding and projects of that nature that are kind of taking a bunch of information and kind of making it congruent, refining the visual styles and stuff, that complements my style as a creative. So I niched down my Upwork account, and right now it's niched down to PowerPoint presentations, so like pitch decks, a little bit more towards creative pitch decks, like the kind of people that need like a lot of graphics and they want something really creative. But I'm also doing some more corporate stuff as well. But I tend to think the people coming to me right now just want something that looks kind of nice and fresh. So I'm doing PowerPoint presentations, keynotes, and that kind of thing, and just like pitch decks, sometimes made in InDesign and stuff. And then, my Upwork title right now is presentation design and branding, because branding kind of comes on the back end of pitch design, because you've always got to take that into account if you're doing pitch, as you know. If you're doing pitches for startups and stuff, they've always got some kind of branding, or they've just got a logo and they want to build on that branding style throughout their pitch deck. So that's a thing that you come across regularly with that work as well. And I have a lot of nice little branding stuff in my portfolio. So you could argue that I should really just pick one, but I get kind of 50-50. Like, clients are coming to me for branding and PowerPoint presentations. So at the moment, just to build my portfolio in these two niches, I'm happy. I'm happy how it's going, and I think I'm going to keep that for the next month or two, and then we'll see, depending on the kind of projects we get, we might be able to just choose one once I've decided that I really want to go in on one. But overall, the goal for me is to go for the high-end projects. So I'm going to be veering towards branding anyway, probably quite organically, because I am looking over the next 2 months to be looking for projects like, above 1K, like 2 or 3K projects would be amazing to me, and that's kind of what I'm aiming for. So I'm trying to, as I'm doing these jobs, I'm trying to align my portfolio and everything that I do to try and shoot for that in the next coming months. But
okay. I put this down as a goal, and that brings us nicely to another point. So how do you achieve this? So I had another question for niching down, and please combine them if you can. Are you focusing on startups right now? You said what you do, like presentations and branding, more on a creative side. For whom?
So 80% of my work is coming from Upwork right now. To be honest, like I get a mix of people. I get people that are like, most of the pitch deck clients are newly formed businesses. Some are startups that are looking for investors, but others are like established businesses that they're making money already, and like they're in their third phase of funding or something. I've had a few like that, but also just traditional freelancer businesses as well, like service to service businesses, like that kind of thing, like B2B and that kind of nature. So I'm getting a real diverse amount of clients right now, but it's all within the same niche. So it's not like it's causing any issues. It's just a different subject matter, which is fine. It's all the same process. It's all the same, all the same kind of task to be ticked in terms of design.
Makes sense. And you will have a bigger and better understanding in the month ahead, right? The more clients you serve, then you see who is paying more, what kind of needs do they have, and then you can actually niche down further, right? And then maybe at some point you're gonna say, have your presentation and branding fixed to raise an A round, right? Because an A round for a startup means millions, and they are happy to invest 2, 3, 5K to prepare this round, right? Because they know investors gonna like a professional designed slide deck and appearance, and then maybe at some point a website too, or maybe you go one step before this. And sorry, I'm always going back to startups because that's where I'm coming from. I'm not saying you should be going there, but another example would be quite a senior entrepreneur who starts over again, wants a pitch deck for raising money, his first money, right? So as you realize who your clients is and what their needs are, then you can even drill down your Upwork profile and even niche down further, and then you can charge 50 an hour, even more. Cool. What are goals / tasks that were not completed last month, where you need to recommit to in the following weeks?
I don't feel there's many tasks that weren't completed. I'm kind of on course. Like, I'm doing everything I want to be doing right now.
Let's then jump to the next one. Let's not find any, unless there is one.
No, I'm doing my 30-day challenge, which involves 12 things. So that's pretty intense right now, and I did that on purpose. I did that to focus my mind and stuff.
So
but yeah, it's pretty
let's
much.
quickly chat about it before we have the outlook of the next month. Oh no, sorry, let's not have the challenge right now. I want to chat about it in a few minutes. But what did you learn last month? So you had those three big wins, like mindset, the breakup that you like lack of focus, emotional up and downs, and then you had the lack of commitment to one thing. But this is all resolved now. So these were big wins, and you shared your learnings around it. You start working, put into actions. You had like a massive week last week. You made $600. I think one of the best weeks ever when it comes to freelancing. So stuff is going well. Any other learnings you can share at this moment about yourself, about your freelancing design business?
Um, I feel like there's just been a lot of lessons. Like uh, I don't know if we talked about this much, but I was in Da Nang for about 5 months, which is central Vietnam to anyone who doesn't know. It's on the beach. And it's very different to Chiang Mai. So I went somewhere where it was a lot more isolated. There weren't as many people, so it was kind of me and like one or two friends.
Yeah.
And so 80% of my time was me on my own, and it flagged up a lot of stuff for me, good and bad. And I feel like there's been a lot of shifts from that time alone, because I had the moment to kind of shut the noise out, and things didn't go well for a while because I lost focus. I got into quite an intense relationship, and things like that. And all this stuff flagged up a lot of things for me. And I feel like one of the main things it flagged up was I was coming from a place before where a mindset, where a belief where I thought that I just wasn't good enough for what I wanted to achieve. And I feel like through certain things, being in a relationship that made me see a different side of myself and stuff, and other people as well, it gave me this opportunity to kind of reframe it. And before, I used to say all the time, I used to ask questions like, can I do this? Can I make this work? Am I good enough for this? Am I a good enough designer? Can I do this work without getting unfocused? Like, do I like it enough? And I'm coming from a place now where those aren't even questions. And it comes again, that comes down to the commitment. The commitment is a big thing. And it's like, it was almost like an excuse. I was almost using it as an excuse, asking these questions, because as I was asking these questions, am I good enough? Or it gave me an excuse not to work, because it's like an unanswered question, right? Mm-hmm. So I made the decision. So I feel like I made a decision, and I said to myself, that is not a question anymore. You can definitely do this. That's not the question. It's like, what are you prepared to commit to? What are you prepared to sacrifice for it? And I've been on this journey for about 2 years, right? And so this has been a thing that I've struggled with for those 2 years. It's like waiting for work to come to me, waiting for things to fall in my lap, because I wasn't committing, and I didn't have the confidence to go out there and take it, take the bull by the horns and really just take what I wanted, because I was always asking these questions like, am I good enough? Can I do this work or whatever? Or do people like me enough to give me 3K or whatever? Mm-hmm. Like stupid things. So I feel like there's been a lot of improvement in that area, and action has gone up as a result. So that's one of the biggest shifts I've had over the last year.
Do you allow me to bring up one point out of our deep dive coaching
that
we
sure.
discovered around your mom and your sister? Do you allow me to bring it up?
Yeah, you can bring that up.
I just looked into my notes, and as you said, this has been the journey of almost like your life after overcoming cancer, right? And we went really deep into it, why, how the social situation was. And then at some point you lost your dad, and really honorable dad. But at some point your mom and your sister, they even blamed you for not being man enough, because you needed to fill this hole your dad left behind. And
Yeah.
you took this position because you didn't know better, and your mom and sister took this position because they knew they didn't know better. So there's no one to blame, but it was how it is, right? And then that's
Hmm.
where you develop, can I do it? And of course you can do it, but you're always very afraid of not committing 100%, as you just said, right? The fear of failure, fear of rejection is always holding you back. And I'm so happy for you that you stop blaming your mom and your sister, and you stop blaming yourself, and realize, fuck, where am I? Let's look into reality. Let's look at reality, how things are, and let's be honest to myself, but not freak out. But okay, let's hold still a moment, because we both know by standing still, we gain perspective. You talk to me and you and others. So, and then you realize, what do I need to do? Oh, actually, it's really easy. Put in the work. Realize those things that, oh, by building a portfolio, I will be better. I can do it. And
Mm.
everyone screws up in the beginning. So it's even okay for me to screw up. And if I only screw up 50% of the time, still okay, because I have clients. That's how I learn and grow. That's how everyone proceeds. Perfect. I
Yeah.
can't actually know if I'm good enough if I don't do the work. So I rather do the work and then learn, because you have an amazing support infrastructure. You are an amazing person. And that's why I'm really happy for you as your friend and as your podcast, however my role is right now. But yeah, I
Yeah.
can really feel this in private life, and I want listeners to internalize this. It's like, find help, speak about this shit, speak about the monkeys in your brain.
Mm.
They have reasons why they are there. And I'm not talking about therapy or coaching. It's just sometimes it's just speaking to friends, right? And as we did it,
Yeah.
and I'm openly speaking about my mindfucks too. And by speaking about them, it really helps us to see, wait a minute, life doesn't need to be complicated. And wait a minute, actions are not difficult. Like a plan to come up with, it's not difficult. Just take one step by the other, and then don't worry about the third and fourth step. Just do the first step. And mostly we know what the first step is. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, just to add, one thing that has been quite interesting is, since I've kind of like changed this thinking in my mind, and come and attack this from a different power, I've started to see that I'm getting much better clients as well. Because I feel like I'm just showing up, you know. Like before, there was like this half-assed approach, and we've talked about this a lot, you and me, is about, having one foot in the water and one foot in the boat, and not fully committing,
Mm-hmm.
not fully committing, and just by making that decision, the way I am on Skype calls, the way I am with clients, it's just a lot more. I'm showing up, and I'm here, and I'm here to get the job done, and I'm here to help them any way I can. And before, it was just like, oh yeah, just a Skype call, just give them what they want, kind of thing. Now I'm delivering more, and the ironic thing is, it's actually enjoyable. The more, because I'm actually committing, and I'm actually in it 100%. I'm not questioning myself all the time. So because I'm not questioning myself all the time, I actually get involved in the process more, and
Yeah.
then that leads to mastery, and that leads to just, I don't know, just a little bit more content. And I think it's coming. Before, there was a massive thing where I used to separate things, and I used to self-sabotage, like say, oh, but yeah, I could do this, I could get better at design, but I want to do coaching in the future, what's the point, and stuff like that. But I'm starting to see that you've got to pick one thing, and you just got to do it to your best of your ability, because people will see qualities in you that you can definitely transition, you can definitely try new stuff, you can definitely change industries. I believe that, but you have to, whatever you're doing, you have to show up 100%, because it's part of your character, and people will talk about you, and they will have confidence in you to do any type of job in any industry if you do one really well, if you do something well. And this is a thing that a lot of people talk about in books, and a lot of like career coaches and gurus and things. you know, you do one thing and you do it well, and people respect you for that, and then they have enough confidence and respect for you to say, oh, well, he does this really well, he can probably do that really well.
Yeah.
So
that's a great point.
Even if it's in a different industry. So I really do feel that I'm on the right path, and it's been a while. I feel it's been the first time, and I think in the last year, that I feel like I'm focused, and I've got a plan, and I've got a worthy goal, and I've got a big enough goal to get me out of bed, and to cut the negative thinking and not be dwelling on little problems, like the micro aspects, you know, the little things that pop up every day. I'm not dwelling on them. I'm just figuring out, okay, what's the best way to move forward, and action has gone up as a result. So I'm really happy. I'm really happy right now, the way things are moving forward. And my primary focus is about maintaining that. That's my primary focus right now. It's about maintaining that focus and that momentum, and just building every week.
Yeah,
that's where it is right now.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that what's up in the next month, and then you just answered it: maintaining this focus and building this, keeping this momentum and building it. Because this podcast shouldn't be about how do you create clients, because there are 1,000 ways, and your ways might not be applicable for others. And I'm not about hacks or anything. These are just short-term solutions for something that works now, but not necessarily in the future. But if we work on our mindset and show up every day and dance with our fears and acknowledge them, that they are there, and fears are actually just human created thoughts, and if we realize that our thoughts are not real, we can even really dance with our fears, because they point us into a direction where we want to go. So, and that's the focus with this podcast and this experiment, is talk about our mind fucks and talk about what is holding us back, and not so much about tactics and hacks. So I think today we did a really good job, and I would like to close this interview with 2 questions. So first of all, if you need to answer how happy, content are you right now, would you change yourself into something else now, realizing what you have achieved over the last 6 weeks? Sorry.
Well, the thing is, I didn't realize I said 7 before, so I definitely would say it's higher. So maybe an 8. I think an 8.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely higher than before. So if I said a 7 before,
maybe you said 6. I don't remember, but it was like 6, 7, something like this.
Okay. So you can say an 8.
Yeah. And the point was, I didn't want to push you to increase it, but sometimes just talking to someone about your achievements from the last month makes you realize how far you came. You know, This is, we both know that that's the entrepreneurial gap. We always compare ourselves in the now with the things we want to achieve in the future. But that's bullshit, because we will never be where we want to be in the future, and it makes us smaller than we are. So we need to reverse the gap by looking back. And that's what I try to achieve here. It's like, I give you room to look back. And this just proves that, oh, hold on a second, I take 30 minutes, even though you have a tight schedule today, you look back and realize, fuck, I've come a long way. And that's amazing. So let's practice this more, the reverse gap, by looking back where we've been 2 years ago and then where we are today. Let's close this interview by you talking about the challenge. Why do we do it? What is it about? And why isn't it a distraction?
Okay, so about a year ago, there's a very well-known blog called Bold and Determined. It's a very well-known blog, like kind of self-development blog, and it has a ebook in it called The 30 Days of Discipline. So about a year ago, I tried that. I didn't get through the whole 30 days. It has an intense like exercise regime where it's like 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 squats a day for 30 days non-stop. And there's a load of rules in there. Like if you read the book, there's a load of rules that you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to do certain things, like no snacking and stuff like that. So I've taken some of that stuff and I've done my own customized version, because right now I'm not I'm not doing intense exercise right now because I'm working on my nutrition, because I need to go back to baseline nutrition because I have issues with my gut and stuff. So pounding away at the gym and stuff is not good for my body right now. I need to go back to baseline and work on my nutrition first to get my body in a place where it can work out and build muscle. But so I have like 12 things that that I'm not allowed to do. Just to give you an example, some of those things are: I'm not allowed to drink alcohol. I'm not allowed to drink coffee. There's a rule in there that is no maybes. So if someone asks me a question, I have to say yes or no. No indecisiveness. And then the rest are kind of things that I want to do every day. So like lead generation is in there, looking for work, talking to clients, morning routines, stretch every day, that kind of stuff. So it's all like habits that I want to build, and grow, like how I want to grow as a person. And they're all kind of markers as well. They're kind of markers that the kind of person I want to be, and the kind of alcohol is like, we were talking about it. Alcohol is a big one for a lot of people. Yeah. Me personally, I don't find it that hard not to drink. It's just that I don't make it a priority. And it's a big thing for me that I would like in the future to be able to go into social situations, talking to women, talking to friends, and being in.
What do you hope to get out of this? How would you feel when the next time we speak and you said, I actually accomplished this 30-day challenge? Because a year ago you weren't able to do it, and maybe now you're able to do it. And I carefully say maybe because I know you're going to be able to do it. How will you feel afterwards, and why do you do it?
I feel like you learn things when you put yourself in extremes. When you're in extremes, you learn the most. And I wanted to staple this next 30 days because I know that if I don't focus and I do not keep this momentum, I'm not going to be able to keep going for very long. In terms of financial situation and stuff, and I'm on a deadline now. I'm on a time because I want to get to London next year for a bit, and it's like I want to be able to afford to do that through my freelancing. So I know that I'm on a deadline, and I'm using it as a tool basically to focus my mind and keep committed, and at the same time to build habits that I want to keep going. I also when you're moving.
Do you also want to show yourself that you can be disciplined, that you can be following through, that you can do it?
Well, it's building that muscle of discipline,
yes.
Which we've talked about before, that I found difficult in the past, and I feel like I've got a little bit of momentum building.
Yes.
And I just want to like secure that like as much as possible. So that's kind of my thinking behind it. And also, anyone who moves around a lot and is like working in various locations will understand that when you move to a new place, it opens up the opportunity to build new habits. But the problem is, if you're not conscious, you actually, in my experience, you actually end up building just as many new bad habits as you do good habits.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the reason why I wanted to do this as well. So I knew that I was moving back to Chiang Mai, and I'll meet new people, and there'd be a new routine. And I wanted to make sure that it was building the right routine, and I wasn't just like doing things unconsciously, and then 20 days later I'm like, oh, I'm drinking Thai tea every day now. Oh, like, stuff like that. Like that happened to me in Vietnam. I actually got a little bit addicted to caffeine because I liked the Vietnamese coffee. And I just kept drinking it every day. And then I realized, damn, I can't actually go a day without it because I'm a bit addicted. And that was literally over only 2 months. So it's really easy to start doing something, and then before you know it, you kind of get a bit of a craving for it. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that side of it. That I saw that, and it wasn't that attractive to me. So I decided to do this to build the right habits, and that's one of the reasons why caffeine's in there as well. No coffee.
Yeah. And I think we both agree on that this is one of the reasons why we become entrepreneurs, because it's one of the best ways to grow personally. And to prove it to ourselves, there's no boss. We need to get up every morning. I mean, we have clients to serve when we work as freelancers. We have customers to serve when we have a business. So literally, they are our bosses. And the whole game is a mindset game. And you proving to yourself that you can do it and be disciplined for 30 days. And then let's see what kind of habits stick. And then maybe you're much more aware of and mindful about, do I need to have a drink every day I go out, or maybe just on weekend days or something like this, right? So I really like it, and I'm inspired too. As I said the other day, most of the things on your list I'm already doing, but coffee would be a hard one. And right now, to be honest, I don't want to make this commitment. Yet knowingly,
coffee bean has you, Danny.
Yes,
the coffee bean has
knowingly,
you.
I at some point will prove it to myself again, just as a measure of proving it to myself that I'm staying on top of my actions and not some kind of monkeys in my head. And I just want to prove to myself that I can do anything I want, be it swimming every day, be it not having a coffee every day, or be it smiling at someone every day. We can consciously choose to do these things, and it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. So I admire your courage to take on this challenge, and I see how it goes hand in hand with your next weeks. I'm excited to speak to you soon. It will be after Christmas. We both have a friend who is kind of challenging you on not having alcohol over Christmas. So I'm curious to see how this turns out.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it wasn't till 2 days after I set the challenge that someone said to me, "Oh, you're doing it over Christmas," and it just dawned on me like, "Oh, yeah, I am doing it over Christmas." I didn't really think about it, but it just it excited me because it makes it even more challenging, which is good. It's gonna bring up some things of maybe. I think it's going to unveil some interesting.
As always. And I just want to say one more thing to the audience. Thanks for sticking around. And if you like the show, if you like the concept, please let us know. Please leave a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Let us know what you think. Let us know how this can be improved. I'm always open for feedback, what kind of questions I should ask. Should John react in a different way? Give him feedback too. And as we're approaching an end to this experiment in 2 months or 3 months, I always want to tell you guys, if you want to get updates and check-ins from John continuously, leave a comment too, because we will stop this at some point. And if you want to hear how his journey goes, you might want to incentivize and motivate him. For us, it's always about mindset, and it's about motivation. So if we know that there are people listening to this stuff and we should put some extra amount of time into this, we are more than happy to do so. But please give us a sign that we should keep on doing what we are doing. And I think John agrees with this. So the more people
sure do
shout out and give us a sign, he's more than happy to continue doing this on his personal blog. Having said all this, I put all this into the show notes, your personal blog, Life versus Fear. I will put up your Upwork profile there. I'm really happy about your progress. And I can't wait to get another check-in and update from you in 5 weeks.
Amazing. Yeah, it'd be interesting to talk to you in 5 weeks. I think a lot of things would have happened. Very eventful, hopefully.
Yes.
So thank you. Thanks, Danny. Amazing check-in.
Thank you. Thanks, John. Thanks for taking the time. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, see you later.
StartupGeist Podcast. Entrepreneurs are not born. We are self-made. Please leave an honest rating on iTunes or leave a comment on startupgeist.com/podcast. Thank you for listening.